Good morning everyone. So this morning we're at a Peugeot. There we go. It's a 207. I'll show you the engine. So this is I think it's either a 1.4 or a 1.6, and I think this is the same Mini. The same engine. It's in a Mini.
1.4.
So it's a 1.4 good ready, 1.4 16 valve. So the customer complaint was engine management light came on, and did it say engine stop, Roddy, or something like that? It says engine stop, do not drive, stop, do not drive, contact, maintenance or something like that. So anyway, I'll show you the codes. So I just jumped into generic OBD. Well, to tell you the truth, we went in to look at manufacturers, but it was a bit more complicated, but I'll show you that. But here's what we're coming up with: a P0342 camshaft position sensor A circuit low, and then high, say it's low and high, so that's like it's changing states. And the performance, so there's definitely something up with the camshaft position sensor, and that's all camshaft is high, low. So first of all, I'll need to take this cover off and try and find where it is, but obviously it'll be on the end of the camshaft. But I'll show you the rest of the codes. Here was the manufacturer side of things. So you can see oil pressure regulation solenoid valve control circuit short to battery, but that's intermittent. Lubrication system oil pressure too low in mechanical mode, intermittent. Inlet camshaft dephaser link control fault, so I think that's linked to P0340. Couple of CAN codes, another wheel speed information from the ABS, and there you go, a P0342. So we read that and went inlet cylinder reference sensor signal loss or signal, but it's when I seen the P0342 we thought that must be the camshaft code, so that's why we jumped into generic OBD. So that's the one that's bringing the light on, that's the one we'll attack. But we're a bit worried about this oil pressure as well, but I'll show you some pits for that. But let's go and find this camshaft sensor. An update for a video we done a few weeks ago. I was thinking this was the negative on a Peugeot, but here it's the positive. And I was saying ignore wiring colours, but that was perfectly fine. The red one is a positive, this was the one with the power steering. Anyway, that's no today, that was another day. So here is, it's a Monday morning, I can't think straight. Here is the camshaft position sensor, so 1 and 2. So what the codes this one refers to 342, I don't know. So we're just going to scope both of them and see what we get. So I think the ignition's on anyway, so let's go into the first one. So it's 3 wires. Oh, we've got something there anyway, right? So 4 point, I wouldn't think that's the 5 volt reference, because that's saying 4.85 spin. .85, oh that's a funny figure. 4.85 and 4.85. Let's go to the last one. We're in the grey pin. So is that a ground? So what we can do, we can take, oh, it's awfully bright. We can take our ground and go to, take our ground lead and go to there. So you can see that, oh, I grounded my lead, I put it to 12 volts, so you can see that's negative 12 volts. So we have a good ground, but the other two are a bit mucked up. So what we'll do is we'll take our lead, we'll go back to negative, and we'll disconnect this. No, what we'll do, we'll go to the next one, we'll do exactly the same again. So that's us into the grey wire. That's reading 0, so we write the grey as our ground, maybe. We'll go to the middle pin. You get any ready? No. Get nothing on that one. We'll go to the other one up the top here, the third pin up. Oh, there's a battery maybe switched in. I bet that's maybe where it is. Wait, let's see if we've still got. Oh, here we are. 2.37, so that was like the signal. So it's looking like this kind of guy's away. That must have been a bad connection. 2.37, let's go into the middle. Oh, 2 points. These are funny things. Right, we want to just run the engine and see what we get. We're a bit stuck already this morning. So let's go again. That's right. So that's my 5-volt reference. So you can see that's climbing. It must be the low battery voltage. 5-volt reference on the first pin. We'll then go to the next pin. Get 2.4, that's not right either. And then we'll go to the last pin. That must be our ground. So let's come back to this one. So we can't see a square output from that. So there's a 5-volt reference in pin 1, which is the blue wire. The second wire's showing 5 volts again. I'm not getting any square output. And that's our ground. I don't know. How are we getting the output on any of them? I do my connections were bad, so you can see we've got an output for this first one. So that's on the, that's the blue wire. What, you got the next wire then, Rodney? That's good. So we seem to be just getting an output from this guy, this one, but we're not getting anything on that one at all. So we reckon these are just traditional camshafts. So we're just going to monitor this one for a few minutes. So we've just took them off and we're front probing them. So you can see the first one, I need to put my light off. So first one's 5, and Roddy's going at the middle pin, which is 5 again. And then, that's the first, that's the ground. Right, so that's the ground. Aye, so that's us back. So we've got 2 5 and a ground. And we'll just do the same on another one here. There we go. I'll keep my eye on the meter. 5, 5, and a ground. So we need a camshaft sensor. Easy as that. Here, we're just going to take these sensors, they look identical, and just swap them from one bank to the other. No, that's dicht. There we go, and that's a camshaft in there. Oh dear, right, it's minging alright. You want to get that, you can clean them up. This looks a bit better actually. So you're popping that in the front. I took this out the front, so you put that in the front. Right, get that in a wipe. So we've swapped them about. As you see, there's no output in this first one, so we'll go to the next one. There's no output there either. What the hang's going on here? So you see the one we took, the good one from the front, we took to the back. Really bad connections in here. So we have an output. And this one here, we still ain't got any output. You can see that's flat lined. So we'll order up a sensor. Just to recap, I'm getting confused myself. It's the middle pin, it's the output. Blue's 5 volt, the yellow's the switching signal, and the white's the ground. So we're seeing on the yellow pin here, we're seeing flat line 2.42 volts. But when we go to the yellow pin at the other one, we're getting it right, 2.4 volts, but You can see we've got a nice pattern. Let's phone our supplier. The new sensor has arrived, and we were a bit disconcerted about this white top bit here. But it's exactly the same length, so Roddy will compare the two. Spot on. So we'll put them in the car, see how they go. So this was a Bosch part number. You can see that we now have an output from that new sensor. Oh, there it's in there. So that's working, and a code should hopefully be cleared or clearing. But I was just thinking, if you didn't have a scope, how else could you do this on your multimeter? So you could, let's go into the multimeter function, go digital multimeter, and no, that wouldn't work. If you had a frequency, say graphing, so let me see, pulse width, frequency. So most multimeters have a frequency, and you can see this has a frequency of say 20 Hertz, so that's 20 times a second. And obviously if you rev it, it would go a little bit faster. Aye. There you go. Goes up to 40. Or else a multimeter would have a dwell. Let's see, pulse width, duty cycle, or even a duty cycle would do the job. So there you go. So that's got a duty cycle, you say 50%. So at least you would know you'd have an output. Anyway, let's check the code. So you can see the status of our codes have moved from permanent to intermittent. So that, indeed, the car is recognising that again. So we'll come out of that. Wonder if the light's off. The light's still on. So what we'll do, we'll jump back into OBD. And this should have moved from, I don't know what, let's just wait and see. So it says current, pending, current, so let's just clear the codes. Key on, clear fault codes. Just cleared it. And you see, oh, it has cleared it. Let's read the fault codes again. So that's done the business. We cleared the codes, we went back in, so we've still got this oil pressure regulation. Lubrication system oil pressure too low in mechanical mode, don't know what that means. And a CAN network fault, but they're all intermittent. But we looked at the data. So this one. Alternator charge.
Oil pressure.
Alright, so this is what we looked at. This measured oil level 0%. So is that maybe referring to a sensor in the sump? Because our measured oil pressure is at 3000 millibar, which is 3 bar, and the reference for oil pressure is 3 bar, so that seems to be good. And it says oil pump operating mode regulated, so that's good. Oil pump solenoid control reference value 50%. Oh no, that's oil pump solenoid 50%. What's this one up here? That's measured, so. Well, yeah, we rev already see what see what we get up to. So that's a reference. So that's, these two figures are spot on, so I can't, there's not really much wrong. Stay the same. It's dropped a wee bit right enough. Oh. Don't like the sound of that. The oil pressure dropped really low there. Well, we're only at 1 bar. Oh, there's something wrong there. Get another rev, Roddy. We're up at 6 bar. 6 bar. But reference value doesn't change. It came up with ECU reset. Well, at least all we can say is we've got oil pressure. Let's go back into this, read fault codes. Intermittent oil pressure regulation. So there is something up with the regulation within this. Let's move to permanent. Lubrication system oil pressure too low in mechanical mode. So we need to do a bit of research here, but there's something up with the oil pressure within that system. So it's a P15A3 and a P15A1. On the launch you can use this Google search function. So let's go hit this, it takes you to Google. But I just read this. Lubrication system problem solve degeneration of the wet timing belt. Oh, so I'm wondering, has this system got a wet timing belt on it? If so, it must be like the EcoBoost engine from Ford. These are a nightmare. So this machine, we may have won the battle, but we've not won the war. So we've put a camshaft sensor in it, which it was needing. But our main is oil pressure, so we're back up at idle at 6 bar, and it's only looking for 3 bar. So if Roddy goes and revs this sometimes, just let it idle again, my man. That's me. Turn her off and put her back on, Roddy. I restart her, my man. Oh, it loses its data. There we go, oil pressure regulated. And the solenoid is at 74%. So get a rev again, my man. %. Oh, we're alright. Then let her idle again. 10%. Then she drops. Oh, then she goes, that thing goes Duali. Oh, stop the engine. So it's back to mechanical mode, and it can't cope with it in mechanical mode. Oh, right. So we did check the oil, but we're going to check it again. So last night I spoke to my mate Dave Sterling, and he done a bit of research and said this is the Prince engine and it has a timing chain, and indeed there is a solenoid within the oil pump within the sump. So we'll ask the customer and see if it wants repaired, but he'd never came across before. But this is exactly the same engine as the N18, N14 on the BMW. Anyway, cheers.